Right, hello lads and lasses, and welcome back to Boys Down Under, where today I've got all the best news stories for you guys. The important stories are all together here in one place, talking about this great football club. Before we go any further though, please remember to like the video and subscribe to the channel. It's the best way to help support the channel grow, and I'd be forever appreciative of you guys if you did that. But without further ado, let's get into it. So the first story today is about the best striker, not only in the league, but in the world right now, Kyogo. Now, as we all may remember, in the final match before the winter break that took place on Boxing Day against St. Johnstone, Kyogo went down clutching at his hamstring in around the 20 to 25th minute mark. My memory ceases to amaze me because I can't remember it. I usually have a good memory, but I don't know what's happened. But not many people thought much about it at the time, certainly not myself, considering we were heading into a winter break where Kyogo was going to be able to, recover, rehab the hamstring and, train back up to full fitness. But now reports are coming out that Kyogo will most likely be missing our first back match against Hibs, which would be a major, major blow. We can't hide that fact without a doubt. And he hasn't been training with the first team at all since that injury, so his odds are very, very slim right now. If I was a betting man, I'd certainly not be betting on him to take part in that match. However, now hear me out, this isn't as major of a blow as it would have been, let's say, a month ago, considering the options we have right now to replace him. It isn't the end of the world. Now, in the absence of Kyogo, we have two fit and viable striker options that I would consider playing. You've got Georgios Giacomakis and you've got Dyson Maeda. Two very, very different strikers, but also two very effective strikers. Now, it gives Ange options, something that was very limited to him before January. And with Jota only recently joining back in training, hypothetically, let's say he doesn't start the Hibs match, because I think it's unlikely that he will, but just for he still could do. I'm not ruling him out, but hypothetically speaking, let's rule him out for now. So Ange has really two options. One, he plays a front three of Dyson Maeda, Georgios Giacomakis, and James Forrest. Dyson on the left, GG through the middle, and Forrest on the right. To me, this seems the most likely. This seems what I think he'd go with, considering Dyson's ability to play on the left flank. Then he also has the option of playing Dyson through the middle and having Abada and Forrest on either side, or Mikey Johnston. Something I think a lot of people would be very much against, having Mikey Johnston back on the pitch, but it's an option regardless. So, bottom line, Ange has options and we're not completely mudded. If this was a month ago, we would be mudded. I think if this was a month ago, this basically was happening a month ago. We can't deny it. We got through that period and are only 6 points adrift, which is incredible considering how our injuries were going. So now having a full squad, or almost full fit squad, we should be able to crack on right now and make up those lost points. But there could be a silver lining to Kyogo's injury, which I had a thought about. At first it seemed crazy, but you start to think about it and it starts to seem much more viable. So, as we all know, Japan have got World Cup qualifiers coming up on the 27th and 1st of January, which would rule any Japanese players called up from our team out for 3 matches: Hearts, Dundee United and Derby. Also, Tom Rogic would be taken to the Australian squad, but that's not what we're focusing on. Now, you guys got to listen to the whole story, because if you don't listen, you might miss something. But if Kyogo isn't fit enough to play by, let's say, the 24th of January, which is by the time Japan would have had to announce their Japanese squad, because in 3 days they would have their first match, they would have needed players to be in their training camp, two things could happen. One, he isn't called up due to injury. The Japanese national team realize that there is no use in calling up a player who is injured, who can't play both matches, which would see him have enough time to regain fitness for an all-important Glasgow derby. Or the second option is that he is called up, but Celtic block the move on the basis of injury, saying they don't want him to go there because he's still recovering from an injury and they don't want him out for any longer, which is viable enough. That's not blocking him for the sake of blocking him, playing national team. That's blocking him in terms of for player welfare. It sounds crazy, but it doesn't sound crazy at all at the same time, because a normal hamstring strain usually takes 4 weeks to recover from. Now, the 27th of January is when Japan play their first qualifier. The 26th of January is when Kyogo injured his hamstring. That is just 1 day over a month. So it seems very, very, in terms of player welfare, the smartest option is to keep Kyogo at the club, especially if he isn't fit enough, because he probably could get fit enough to play in the derby without a doubt. But look, I think it sounds crazy, but I think if Kyogo isn't fit enough to play, say for the Aloha Athletic match, I don't think he should be going on national team duty. That is my view on it. I don't think he should be risking his own body going on national team duty when he still probably most definitely would not be 100% fit and ready to play by the time their first qualifier is on the 27th of January. Look, if I sound crazy, guys, leave it in the comments below, but we've got to crack on because 2 Celtic youngsters are set to leave the club, and the first is young Adam Montgomery, someone who has filled in a lot of gaps for Celtic this season, has shown a lot of potential on the footballing field when called upon, but he has been added to the Celtic loan list as per a number of reports. Now, at 19 years old, it's clear to see why someone like Montgomery wants to go out and go and get regular first team football, because right now he is behind Greg Taylor and Liam Scales in terms of the left back rankings, I guess we could say. Now, there haven't been any offers yet. However, it is pretty clear that if Monty was to go out on loan, it would be either to a fellow Premiership club or it would be to an EFL club. Most likely the Championship or League One. I don't see him going down to League Two. That just seems too much of a step down for someone of his quality. But for me personally, I think he should go to a more dominant Premiership club. Someone like Motherwell, someone like Aberdeen, rather than the lower, Ross County, Dundee. That's just my view on it. Maybe it's a bit harsh. However, I think he's got a lot of raw talent, young Montgomery does, and he certainly does have a future at Celtic. I don't think he's a Kieran Tierney. That's a lot to live up to. I don't think we should be putting that pressure on him, but I certainly think he has so much raw talent there. It's now about refining that, and there's no way to refine that better than playing week in, week out, consistent first-team football, something that Ange can't give him for the remainder of this year at Celtic, unless, a crisis occurred with Liam Scales and Greg Taylor both getting injured again. But I think if his future is at left back, he needs to refine that raw talent he has, because you could certainly see defensively he brings a lot of his attacking assets into that left back spot. So we'll have to see what happens there, but don't be surprised if Monty goes out on loan for the rest of the season. The second lad we are talking about is 21-year-old Kerr McInroy. Now, he's someone who still not has made their Celtic debut, and he looks set to depart the club permanently without ever doing so. He's been with Celtic since he was 12 years old. He joined from Cowdenbath, I believe it was, but after spending time at both Dunfermline and Adrionians on loan, the Scottish League One club want to make the move permanent, and according to their manager Ian Murray, they are currently in dialogue with Celtic for a permanent deal. And look, I can't say I've seen too much of Kerr McInroy ever, considering he hasn't made a Celtic debut. I've seen glimpses of pre-season and reserve fixture performances from him here and there. I don't think he's going to get his break in the Celtic midfield. I think that's the reality of it, because bringing in our Japanese Donnies, we've also got James McCarthy, we've got Callum McGregor, David Turnbull, Neil Baton. It's stacked. We know our midfield is completely stacked. I don't think he can break into it, and it's not to say he isn't a good footballer. I'm sure he's a very good footballer, a very capable footballer, but I think it's just a matter of wrong place, wrong time. He came through the academy at a time where Scott Brown was controlling the midfield, and now even more players have stood up, and we've got Callum McGregor now running that. So he needs a permanent change of scenery, whether that be at Adrionians, where the manager Ian Murray certainly seems keen on bringing him to permanently, or if he goes to maybe Dunfermline or a championship side, Scottish championship side. We'll have to wait and see. However, I do wish him the best in his future endeavours, because he's got that talent. He just needs to find somewhere where he can be utilised very well. Now, the final piece of news, very quick, very short. Stephen Welsh, he's been in the media a bit because of Udinese's bids on him. Apparently, Udinese first launched a loan bid with option to buy. Then they launched a permanent offer worth £1.5 million. Absolute disgrace. But Ange has came out and said that Welsh is not going anywhere. He's been progressing well. He's been developing well as a footballer. He's been really impressed with him, and that he will not be leaving the club under any circumstances, which is great news because, like I've said in the past videos, I think Stephen Welsh is one of those players who could be a future Celtic captain without a doubt. I think he's got the ability and professionalism as a 21-year-old already, that I think by the time in 3 or 4 years, he will be a regular starting centre-back at Celtic, and I think he will turn out to be one of the best centre-backs in the league and one of the best centre-backs we've had in recent times. Hopefully he can, build a partnership in a couple of years, maybe with Cameron Carter-Vickers if he decides to stay. We'll have to wait and see what happens there, but the news is now that he is not leaving, and just confirmed that. Very happy to hear, because he is a homegrown talent and someone we should be making, someone who could certainly be a Celtic footballer for life. But that is all from me. So remember to like the video, subscribe to the channel, leave in the comments below what you guys want to see as the front three against Hibernian, whether you want to see Maida, Dyson Maida through the middle, or whether you want to see Jack and Marcus have another shot. Up to you guys, leave it in the comments below, and until next time, hail, hail.